Hello, we now come to our third game in this Immortal series, and we've got another real treat in store for you here. This game is really played from the black perspective, so we've only looked at white win so far. Let's have a look at a black win now. Well, the last game was a draw, and the players in question were Glucksberg and his opponent Nyadorf. Of course, you may have heard that name before. Nyadorf also was famous for one of the most popular Sicilian openings. But in this game, he plays a better opening. He plays the Dutch defence. One of my personal favourite openings, and it really is a treat of a game. It's called the Polish Immortal because the game was played in Warsaw, and it was played, sources give it around the 1930s, somewhere around that time, this game. Kasparov gives the date of the game as 1928, and, well, okay, it doesn't matter so much because it's such a beautiful game, and this is actually one of my favourite games ever. One, it's a Dutch, and there's some stunning tactical ideas later on where black sacrifices 4 pieces. The downside of this game is potentially that, well, white doesn't play particularly well. So Glucksberg kind of rolls over and dies a bit easily in the opening. But let's have a look. So we have the Dutch with f5, and this is one of my favourite openings. We now have standard development, knight to c3. White gets these 2 pawns here to control the centre, and black now plays e6, giving the bishop possibilities on f8 to either come to this square, which I often play, or slightly more aggressive over here. Knight to f3, and again there's a lot of moves here. Probably the best one is to go bishop b4, pinning that knight and fighting for the e4 square. But black plays d5, the so-called stone wall variation of the Dutch, where black gets a very, very solid setup with his pawns, and it's one of the only openings where black can get a space advantage against 1d4. White now plays e3. This is a move I'm not too fond of. I think a better idea is bishop f4 first, and then after something like c6, e3. And you always got to try to develop your pieces to the best squares, and clearly the bishop on f4 is much more happy on this very active diagonal than it is stuck at home on c1. So this is a better way to develop. After e3, c6, getting the stone wall, bishop d3, bishop d6, and this is another reason I like the bishop going to f4, because look at this powerful beast of a bishop, x-raying h2, taking great control of a diagonal, and this really is black's main piece in the Stonewall Dutch. Both sides castle as normal, and now white plays knight to e2, trying to potentially maneuver this knight, maybe to f4, maybe later to d3, and then to e5. This square here, e5, is the one landing point that white goes for, as it can't be defended by a black pawn. It's an outpost. Knight bd7, trying to control this square more. And now a big mistake from white. I really have no idea what white was trying to achieve here. Knight g5. I guess he was trying to attack this and give himself time to play f4. f4 would be a useful move because it blocks out that dark square bishop of black's. But this falls into quite a simple tactical trick. Can you see the idea? Pause if you need to. Bishop takes h2 check. And this move, maybe white saw this and thought that he was trapping the bishop. Maybe he willingly went into these complications, but it does now take a very sharp tactical turn of events. The point is you can't take that bishop because another check comes in and the knight drops, black is a pawn up with the attack. So king to h1 is played. And maybe white foresaw this. Maybe white thought, right, well, I'm threatening the pawn on e6. I'm going to trap the bishop on h2 with something like g3 or f4. But now, knight g4, the game starts to get incredibly complex. The queen is attacking the knight on g5. White defends that with f4. And now, There are these two pieces. Are they good or are they bad? Is the bishop on h2 a strong attacking piece, or can it just be very weak later on? For example, white might be able to go knight f3 and take that piece. That piece is a trap piece, so black now has to play with maximum energy. A typical maneuver now. Queen to e8. The queen tries to join in the attack of the king. g3, queen h5, threatening some nasty discovered check. So the king goes to g2, and now we have the first stunning move of this immortal game, this immortal Polish game. What is the move here? Well, white is threatening rook h1 when black is really going to be in some trouble. Rook h1, knight to f3, and that piece is bad. But now a very amazing move here. Bishop to g1. Whoa! And the idea of this stunning move is to make way for the queen to h2. Black only has to worry about knight takes g1 here, because other moves will allow checkmate with this move to follow. And after knight takes g1, queen to h2 check, white was relying on this position being okay, because there's no immediate win, it seems, for black. But the white king is trapped on f3. It cannot escape. And if black can just get a check against that king, it's game over. So the next move is another brilliant blow. And I think this next move is really a very, I think, an easy move to find if you think logically. You need to, I have this rule. When you're attacking, look at your pieces that are active. So let's imagine we're black, the knight and the queen. Well, the knight and the queen in this position, I would say they are the maximum active squares, and you can't really use them anymore. So if that's the case, look for reinforcements. And with the next move, e5, tremendous move. Black is trying to do two things. Bring in these guys here, the knight and the bishop, as we will see. Blast open the center of the board, because look at white's king. If we can make lines towards it, maybe for our rook, it's game over. And it's just it's a fantastic idea. For example, now, e4 check leading to some checkmates is a worry. So, really, white has to take this pawn. D takes e5. And now the point behind this, can you see the idea? Knight takes e5. Doesn't matter if we sack another piece. This is the second piece sacrifice, because we are bringing the king more into the open. Knight to f4. And it should be worth noting, another thing that I think Nyadorf would have been very happy about here is that after knight g6 check, there's only one square for the king, he always has a draw in hand. And if you're looking for complicated variations, and you can see that you have a draw in hand, then you don't need to calculate everything. You can get to the point where you see a draw, and then you can rethink, see if you can find better than a draw. Draw's not the end of the world. So now the next move is again a brilliant move. And it's in the same vein as e5. I really call this a breakthrough game, because now f4 is played and black is trying to break through. The bishop is now free. The rook is free. Yes, you give up another pawn, but look what happens. Well, really, this has to be taken, because otherwise black's rook will join in the attack. So e takes f4 looks natural, trying to let the king run this way. And now the third piece sacrifice. Bishop to g4 check. Oh my words. Absolutely beautiful move. If the king goes to e3, worst case scenario, we can win the queen, and we still have an attack because the king is very open to some rook to the open file. So this piece really has to be taken. And now the coup de grace, the finishing touch. Can you see how black now forces checkmate in two moves? And again, pause the game if you need to. Beautiful. Knight to e5 check. And there goes your last minor piece. Only one move, it has to be taken. And now we can see that the white king is trapped there. It has no squares to move to. And black can bring in one more attacking unit to deliver checkmate. h5. And Harry has a nice little effect on the game there. H5, Harry comes in, delivering checkmate. Hi, Harry! Harry's done a fantastic job there. So this game is obviously, you know, called an Immortal game for the reasons we've seen it. It's a brilliant attacking game from Nyadorf, the Polish Immortal game, played in Warsaw apparently, and it shows the power of energy in your pieces. Keep going forwards, always look for the most active moves, try not to retreat, and look for ways to open the position up when your opponent's king is in a very, should we say, loose position. So again, one of my favourite Immortal moves. 2 more in this series. Hope you enjoyed that. Do leave your comments below. Bye for now.